Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In this video today we're going to be taking a look at Valkyria Chronicles 4 for the PC. The game was developed and released by Sega and was released in 2018 and is the fourth installment all about the European War and tells this side of events from a soldier in the army. It's taken a long time for Valkyria Chronicles 4 to happen, so has the wait been worth it? Is this game a timeless classic like what 1 and 3 were? Or is this a debunked turkey like what 2 turned out to be? Here's the review. Valkyria Chronicles 4's story is set in the same timeline as Valkyria Chronicles 1. So, in essence, the game is a prequel, but also a type of sequel at the same time, since the events of this game happen a little bit before the events of the very first game. The story is actually very well told, and if you have followed the franchise since the first game's release, then this does a fantastic job of showing you another side of the war from another soldier's perspective. In the first game with Welkin, you were part of a militia, and in the third game with Kurt, you were part of a special unit who did a lot of the country's questionable operations. Now in the fourth game, we're being given a perspective from a normal soldier in the army. It's quite refreshing because when you put all of the games together, you're shown a much bigger picture of the European War, warts and all. The cast of characters in Valkyria Chronicles 4 is a mixed bunch. You're going to have a large squad, and in this squad there's a lot of different personalities and attitudes. And just like in real life, not everyone is going to get on with one another. Some characters will work great together and make for an excellent team, whilst others won't work at all and can have a negative impact towards the group. Some characters you'll like, others you won't. It really is just that simple. You'll have a rather large squad by the end of the game, and I'm pretty sure that you're going to have a lot of reserve characters who you just never simply used, because you either just didn't like them, or you couldn't find a use for them, or you just couldn't find a reason to use them when the squad that you do work with just works. Gameplay for Valkyria Chronicles 4 is a traditional turn-based style JRPG, but with a twist. If you have played the first, second or third game before, then you will know exactly what to expect here, as nothing much has changed with this game's chemistry. There's a few new features here and there, but for the most part the formula has stayed the same. If you have never played one of these games before, then you are possibly going to be thrown off a little, as this game's style of gameplay does sort of expect you to have some type of past experience of the previous series before. You'll be going around with a small squad consisting of a group of troops, who will either be shock troopers, anti-tank personnel, mechanics, snipers, and a whole host of various other classes. You'll also have your very own tank, which will be your heavy hitter, and just like your troops, the tank can be personalised with various paint jobs or equipment parts. Long story short, gameplay is like a turn-based tactical RPG, but with tanks and a few other bits. It might be hard to understand at first, but once everything does finally click, the gameplay is a whole lot of fun. Appearance-wise, if you have played the past previous games, then you'll know what to expect with this one, as just as what I've mentioned previously, nothing much has really changed here with the game's art style. If you're new, the game goes for an anime style look, whilst also mixing a type of sketching effect on everything, since the game is being told from a sort of historical viewpoint, and kind of as if you're looking from a book. So when in combat, you'll notice that there's a white border around the screen, as if the game's a portrait on a canvas that's come to life. Locations in this game might surprise you, because there is a serious amount of thought put into each area. This isn't one of those games which just reuses stages over and over, or changes them a bit and then claims it's a whole new level, when it isn't. This game's environments come in a whole manner of different sizes and locations. Some areas can be ruined cities filled with troops and tanks, others can be huge wide open areas with very little cover, One moment you're fighting in a massive area, trying to take control of a bridge, and then in the very next stage, you could be boxed up in a small building, with wave after wave of enemy troops coming at you, whilst you have to defend a base. There's a lot of variety in this game's levels, and the developers have clearly learned a lot to surpass previous games when it comes to the level design. Okay, so let's be honest about this one. Valkyria Chronicles 4 is a sequel that we should have gotten those 10 plus years or whatever ago it was. We had a fantastic game come out of nowhere, and when we did get a sequel, it was a PSP exclusive, and it just wasn't very good at all. Years later, Sega would release Valkyria Chronicles 3, but then because it's Sega, it's a Japanese exclusive, which means hardly anyone got to enjoy it at all. And that in itself is a crime, because the third game is absolutely fantastic. Fast forward all these years later, and we now have the fourth installment of the franchise. A master game is highly enjoyable, with a good story, great characters, and wonderful graphics. You really cannot help this feeling that this is a game that we should have gotten all those years ago. Valkyria Chronicles 4 is a brilliant game, which goes nicely with the first, but you really do need to get the most out of it, and in order to do that, you really need to play 2 and 3. And sadly, not many people will have that experience. Valkyria Chronicles is a brilliant franchise, and the fourth is a fantastic game, but for many gamers out there, it's just so good that it's going to leave them curious about the events of 2 and 3, without ever being able to enjoy them. Maybe I'm wrong, and possibly in a couple of years, Sega might do a remaster and a re-release of 2 and 3 on the PC, Switch, or whatever other console. But until that happens, we're just kind of left with a missing piece of the puzzle. Well, that's it for this for you guys. Thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and please subscribe.